Don't turn around, I whispered to myself. Because if I saw her smile at him one more time, I might have actually laughed. Not the funny kind. The kind that cracks your chest open and spills out everything you were too scared to say for the past year. The ring in my pocket felt heavier with every violin note. I wasn't supposed to be here. I told myself that 3 times before even stepping into the hall. I rehearsed 1,000 different excuses: food poisoning, sudden migraine, work emergency, none of which mattered because my body showed up even when my soul begged me not to. She wore that dress. The one she knew messed with my head. Silver satin, open back, hair swept to one side like in the photos from our honeymoon. Only this time, I wasn't the one waiting at the end of her walk. He was. That walking LinkedIn profile with teeth too white and hands that touched her like they'd rehearsed it. God, maybe they had. For all I knew, they had a playlist. A secret shared Spotify folder titled Us. Kendra saw it too. Her sister. Bridesmaid number 3. She clocked the whole thing from across the dance floor and gave me that pity smile like I was a kid watching my balloon drift into traffic. I didn't want pity. I wanted fire. I wanted someone to tell me I wasn't crazy for noticing how Lainey's girls' night makeup had turned into Contour and Falsies level effort. For how she started doing squats again but never sat beside me anymore. They were dancing now. He spun her, and she laughed like he'd just told her a joke that saved her life. I reached into my pocket, popped the ring box open with my thumb. Still there. The stone still caught the light like it had hope left in it. It didn't. She twirled, dipped, melted into him. Right there in front of everyone. And no one batted an eye. Because no one knew. No one wanted to know. Except Kendra. I walked past the bar. Past the cake table. Right up to her. She didn't ask what was wrong. She didn't need to. I held out the ring. Make sure she gets this. She didn't move. I blinked. Please. Kendra took it like it was ticking. Her hand shook. And me? I turned around. Didn't look back. Didn't grab my coat. Didn't finish my drink. Just disappeared. And if I'd known what I'd find the next morning, I might have burned the whole reception to the ground. The air hit me like a punch the second I stepped outside. You know that kind of cold that doesn't just touch your skin, it judges you? That's what it felt like. As if even the weather knew I'd just handed away a marriage like it was a damn napkin. I didn't run. I didn't cry. I just walked slow, like my legs were trying to make peace with what my heart had already decided. I was done being invisible. The parking lot was almost empty. Just rows of shiny rentals and a few half-sober groomsmen laughing near someone's pickup. I ignored them. I didn't want small talk. I wanted silence. I wanted punishment. I unlocked the car and sat in the passenger seat like I didn't even trust myself to drive. And that's when I saw it. A note. Folded in half, tucked under the windshield wiper. No name. Just a folded white square with red lipstick pressed into the corner. My stomach dropped before I even touched it. I knew that shade. It wasn't Lainey's. She didn't wear lipstick anymore. Said it made her feel too feminine. Whatever the hell that meant coming from the woman who used to spend 45 minutes curling her hair for grocery runs. I opened it. 3 words. Scribbled in sharp, narrow handwriting. You deserve better. No punctuation. No signature. Just that. I looked around instinctively, like maybe someone was watching. But no one was. Just a busted lamppost flickering and the distant echo of dance music bleeding through the reception hall walls. I don't know why that note hit me harder than anything Lainey had done. Maybe because it meant someone else saw it. That I wasn't just spiraling in my own head. That I hadn't imagined the coldness, the secrecy, the way her texts always got deleted before I could ask who Jay was. Maybe it was Kendra. Maybe it was the bartender. Maybe it was God, for all I knew. But it was there, in my hands, and it hurt. Because it wasn't from the one person I needed it to be from. I sat there for 10 minutes, just staring at that piece of paper. I thought about driving home, about packing a bag and disappearing into some budget roadside motel like a character in a sad country song. But instead, I found myself reaching for the glove box. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. Habit. Or maybe I was hoping to find a gun I never bought. What I found instead was her phone. Lainey's spare phone. The work phone. She said she only used for email and Zoom calls when her laptop was glitchy. Only it wasn't locked. And it wasn't for work. I shouldn't have looked. I know that. But I did. And what I found made me feel like my bones had turned to ice water. The home screen was generic. A stock wallpaper of some mountain she'd never climbed, a weather widget set to our town, and a row of apps every normal person has. But I wasn't looking for apps. I was looking for a crack, a fracture in the carefully built image she sold me for 2 years. I opened the Messages app. The first thing I noticed was the silence. No recent notifications, no unread texts. Just a list of names, most of them coworkers or unknown numbers. I was ready to back out and throw the phone into the seat beside me when I saw one thread marked with just a heart emoji. No name, just red heart. It didn't even feel like my hand that tapped it. My fingers moved on their own, possessed by a version of me I didn't recognize anymore. The thread opened, and there it was, weeks and weeks of messages. Thousands of them. Voice notes, memes, screenshots, inside jokes. A whole goddamn relationship unfolding behind my back, wrapped in laughter and nudes, and "I miss you already" texts. She called him Jay. Short for something, probably. I didn't care. The messages went back nearly 8 months. 8. That meant they started before our last anniversary trip. While I was booking the cabin in the mountains, she was telling this guy how she couldn't wait to feel safe in his arms again. Safe. I wanted to vomit. I actually opened the car door and leaned out, dry heaving onto the pavement while holding the phone like it was cursed. My head spun. I wasn't just angry. I wasn't just sad. I felt like someone had taken my entire sense of reality and snapped it in half, like a twig underfoot. I wiped my mouth and forced myself to keep reading. She talked about me. Of course she did. Said I was sweet but suffocating. Predictable. Too soft to break up with, she wrote once. Like staying married to me was an act of mercy. Like I should be grateful she didn't ghost me outright. And Jay? He encouraged it. Called me a lost puppy. A background extra in his own marriage. At one point he even joked about giving me the ring back personally. They laughed about it. Together. But the worst part? They planned tonight. That reception. That dance. That moment I stood watching them like some idiot extra from a Hallmark movie gone wrong. It wasn't spontaneous. She told him what song she was going to request. She told him what perfume she'd wear. She even said, and I quote, "I'll pretend it's for family, but it'll be for us." I stared at that line until the words blurred. That's when I realized I wasn't holding her phone anymore. I was holding her confession. There was nothing left to save, nothing left to explain. But something strange happened next. I didn't rage. I didn't call her. I didn't scream or smash the windshield like every part of me wanted to. I just sat there and smiled. Because finally, after months of feeling like I was going insane, I had proof. Not just that she didn't love me, but that she never really respected me. And now I had the chance to do something she never expected. I didn't walk back into the venue right away. I sat in the car for maybe another 10 minutes, just breathing. Not crying, not shaking, just breathing. It's strange how calm you can feel once the worst already happened. I think part of me had been dying a slow death for months, and what I found on that phone was just the official time of death. And now I was free. But I wasn't stupid. Freedom doesn't mean flailing. It means strategy. I wasn't going to give Lainey the meltdown she probably rehearsed in her head. The whole, "Why didn't you just talk to me?" scene, tears timed perfectly, a crowd to watch me crumble. No, she wanted a breakup that made her the victim. The poor woman whose soft, boring husband just couldn't handle her passion. She wasn't going to get that. She was going to get precision. So I wiped down the phone and placed it gently back into the glove box like it was evidence in a case I'd already won. I took a photo of the lipstick note. Then I stood up, fixed my tie in the car window's reflection, and walked slowly back toward the building like nothing had happened. But everything had. Inside, the music had shifted, some up-tempo garbage I didn't recognize. The dance floor was full now. Drunk uncles, bridesmaids waving shoes in the air, kids sliding in socks across the polished wood. And in the middle of it, like a scene straight out of hell's rom-com, there she was. Lainey, laughing, spinning, arms locked with Jay, whose name I still hadn't confirmed but didn't need to. They were drunk on attention, on each other, on whatever fantasy she'd built for herself that didn't include bills, burnt coffee, or boring old me. And that's when I saw Kendra. She wasn't dancing. She wasn't drinking. She was standing by the dessert table, eyes locked on her sister like she'd been watching her fall in slow motion for months. She didn't look shocked. She looked resigned. And maybe that's why I chose her. Because I needed someone in that building who knew I wasn't crazy. I walked straight to her and didn't say a word. I reached into my jacket, pulled out the ring box, and placed it in her hand without breaking eye contact. Her brows pulled in. "You sure?" she whispered. I nodded. Then I leaned closer, just enough for her to hear me over the music. "Wait until they're mid-dance. Then give it to her. No note. No words." Kendra stared at me like she wanted to stop me, or warn me, or maybe even apologize for being born into the same family. But she didn't argue. She nodded once and slipped the box into her clutch. I turned, and that was the moment. That was the exact second I realized. I wasn't sad anymore. Not devastated. Not lost. I was done. I didn't flinch when someone called my name across the room. Didn't turn when Lainey's laugh rang out behind me like a bell that used to mean something. I just walked straight through the back hallway, past the bathrooms, past the kitchen, out the exit marked staff only. And I didn't stop walking. Because there's something liberating about knowing you'll never have to beg someone to love you again. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. Because when I checked into that motel an hour later, I had 5 missed calls from Kendra, and a photo waiting in my inbox that nearly stopped my heart. I didn't check my phone right away when I got to the motel. I just stared at the ceiling for a while, letting the hum of the old air conditioning unit lull me into some weird, half-dead trance. You ever feel so numb that even your own skin feels rented? That's where I was. Room 106, a broken lamp, a stained floral comforter, and the echo of a woman's laugh that I couldn't scrub out of my brain if I tried. Eventually, I pulled my phone from my coat pocket and saw 5 missed calls from Kendra. No texts, but 1 email. Subject, "I'm so sorry." I sat up slowly, opened it, and saw the photo. It wasn't taken at the wedding. It was taken a week ago. Lainey, in our kitchen, sitting on the counter barefoot in one of my old shirts, legs wrapped around someone standing between her knees. The photo was grainy, like it had been zoomed in from outside a window, but it was clear enough to see their faces. Him, Jay, same smug face, same arms, same watch. And the worst part? Her expression. She looked happy, not guilty, not conflicted. Happy. The kind of happiness I hadn't seen on her face in over a year. The kind of happiness I thought she'd lost because of stress, or work, or whatever excuse I kept feeding myself. But no, she didn't lose it. She just relocated it into someone else's hands. And here's the thing that twisted the knife. The shirt she was wearing? That was the one she used to steal from me whenever she was upset. The one I thought meant something. I'd looked for it in the laundry 3 times that week and assumed it got lost. Turns out it didn't. It just got reassigned. I didn't cry. I didn't punch the wall. I just stared at the screen like it might eventually crack open and swallow me whole. The message beneath the photo was short. I didn't know it was this deep. I thought it was a fling. "You deserve to know. I'm so sorry, Mark." I stared at her words for a long time, trying to figure out what part hurt most. That she knew, that she waited until tonight to show me, or that she still cared enough to call me by name. Eventually, I called her back. She picked up on the second ring, voice low like she was hiding in a closet. "She didn't see me take it," she whispered. "I was dropping off something Mom left, and I saw them. Through the side window. I didn't even mean to. It's okay," I said, interrupting her. "It's done." "No, it's not," she said quickly. "You don't know what happened after you left." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" There was silence on the other end. Shuffling. A long breath. Then she said the words I'll never forget. She opened the ring box in front of everyone. My stomach dropped. And she didn't even try to hide it. She laughed. She laughed, Mark. Like it was a joke. She looked straight at Jay and said, "Guess he figured it out." And then she kissed him. Right there. In front of her parents. The photographer caught it. I think I stopped breathing. "They're still at the venue," Kendra said. "They're drunk. They think this is some kind of victory. Like you were the villain in her little self-made rom-com." And that's when I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Anger. Not panic. Not sadness. Rage. Slow, cold, calculated rage. Not because she cheated, but because she humiliated me. On purpose. On a stage. With a damn audience. And for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I smiled. Because she thought the story was over. But it wasn't even close. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just lay there in that motel bed, shoes still on, one arm across my chest like I was holding myself together by force. Around 4:17 a.m., I sat up, grabbed the ice bucket, and puked in it. I wasn't sick. Not really. Just hollowed out so deep that my body didn't know what to do with the leftover emotions still buzzing inside me. By 5 o'clock, I was dressed and driving. I didn't go home. I didn't go to work. I went to my sister's place, banged on her door until she stumbled out in pajamas, eyes puffy, mascara from the night before still smudged under her lashes. Jesus, Mark, what happened? I need the storage unit key, I said. She blinked. What? Why? I didn't answer. She handed me the key like she was afraid to ask, and honestly, she should have been. Inside that unit was everything Lainey didn't know I still kept. The journals, the letters, the original wedding video, unedited, and the backup hard drive with all our photos, including the ones she thought she'd deleted. Most of it, I kept out of sentiment. But today, it was inventory. See, I know Lainey better than anyone. I know what she fears, what she buries, what she hides. Not just her cheating, her image. She built her whole life on the illusion that she was this composed, polished, unshakable woman. Not a liar, not a narcissist, not someone capable of destroying someone and laughing while she did it. She thought she won, that she burned the bridge and walked away victorious. But I built the bridge, and now I could decide who drowned in the water beneath it. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't about to upload anything, post some messy call-out on social media, or vandalize her car. That wasn't me. That would just feed her version of the story. Mark the unstable husband, right? Mark the drama king. No. What I was going to do required silence, precision, patience. If she wanted a performance, I'd give her the final act. I printed the texts. Not all of them, just enough. I included the one where she talked about faking migraines to avoid dinner with my family. The one where she joked about me being too boring to cheat on, but too weak to leave. The one where Jay said, just wear the ring. He won't notice. Oh, I noticed. I put them all in an envelope, labeled it with her name. Then I drove to her workplace. No drama. Just slid the envelope into the outgoing mail bin inside reception. Because Monday morning, her boss, the one who hates scandal, would be CC'd on every message. With timestamps and IP logs. And the line she wrote where she said she faked work calls just to hook up with Jay in the parking garage. And just for fun, I dropped a second envelope off at her parents' house. Same contents. Same message. This is who she's been. Thought you should know. No signature. No need. They'd recognize my handwriting. By the time the sun was fully up, I was back in my car, halfway to nowhere, wind cutting through the open window like a blade. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel healed. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel invisible either. And that was something. She called me twice the first day, then 12 times the next. By the third day, her name no longer appeared on my screen. It was just blocked caller. And that felt like progress. I stayed off social media, kept my phone in airplane mode half the time, not because I was afraid of her reaching me, but because I didn't want to hear the apologies that would follow. Because they always follow. Not because they're sorry, God no. It's because they realized they lost control of the narrative. And Lainey loved control more than she ever loved me. I heard the fallout in pieces. Kendra filled in some of it. She called me from a burner app, voice hushed like she was on the run from the mob. You have no idea what you did, she said. I was sitting in a parking lot outside a Waffle House, drinking coffee that tasted like melted rubber, watching birds fight over French fries. Was it too much? There was a long pause. Then, carefully, her boss called HR. She's suspended indefinitely. They're investigating if she lied about company hours during those meetings with Jay. I closed my eyes, breathed in slow. She said you hacked her phone. Of course she did. She's spiraling, Mark. Like, full-on unhinged. She tried to say I planted the messages, that you forged them, that you're emotionally abusive. I didn't respond, because I wasn't surprised, because I knew her, because I'd lived with her. But Kendra wasn't finished. Her voice lowered another notch, like what she was about to say required distance from everything else. She moved back in with Mom and Dad. They opened the envelope. They saw everything. Jay's texts. What she said about you. About them. She exhaled hard. They're not talking to her. Not until she takes responsibility, which you and I both know she never will. My hands trembled a little. Not out of guilt. Just from the weight of it all. The idea that this woman, this force, who had once stood in front of a mirror rehearsing how to say forever with a straight face, was now sitting in her childhood bedroom, watching it all burn. She's threatening to sue someone, Kendra added dryly. She's not sure who yet. Maybe the printer company. I laughed. Couldn't help it. And it wasn't bitter. It wasn't even cruel. It was the sound of someone finally breathing again. That night, I drove past our old house. I didn't get out, didn't slow down, just passed it like it was a landmark from a life I didn't want back. The porch light was off. Her car was gone. The mailbox was stuffed. I thought I'd feel triumphant. I didn't. I thought I'd feel whole again. I wasn't. But I was honest for the first time in months. And that counted for something. What she did to me, no ring could fix. No apology could unwrite. No rewind button would make it romantic again. Because even if she came crawling back, mascara streaked, eyes wide with regret, I'd still remember how she smiled when she opened that ring box in front of 100 people. How she laughed. How she kissed him. And how not one part of her looked surprised to see that the ring was no longer hers. It took her a week to find me. She showed up outside the bookstore where I'd been killing time every afternoon since I left our house behind. I saw her through the front window. Same coat, same stiff posture, arms wrapped around herself like she could still make herself small. It was almost funny, watching her scan the shop like I was some lost pet she hoped would come running when she whistled. I didn't. I let her stand there until she saw me. Until her eyes met mine, and I could see the script she'd prepared crumbling second by second. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. Maybe it finally hit her. This wasn't the man she could wrap around a smile anymore. I stepped outside. Didn't say hello. Didn't ask how she was. She tried to speak first. Mark, I don't need an apology, I said. And you don't need to explain. She blinked. You don't. No, I said simply. Because I finally understand. Her lips parted again, but nothing came out. You didn't break me, I continued. You just revealed me. To myself. That shook her. I could see it. Because I wasn't angry. I wasn't emotional. I was finished. And that's something people like her never expect, the quiet exit. The man who doesn't fight, doesn't beg, doesn't scream, just leaves the story. You once told me you didn't feel seen, I said. But I was standing right in front of you, Lainey. Every day. I saw you. I chose you. I stayed. She looked away. And now, I added, voice calm as still water, I choose me. She nodded, slowly. Then, almost too soft to hear, was any of it real? I could have lied. I could have said yes to ease her guilt, or no to salt the wound. But instead, I said something better. It was real when I loved you. It stopped being real when you loved someone else. And then I turned and walked away. This time, there was no ring in my pocket. No need for grand statements. Just the sun warming my back and the weight of 100 almost finally falling off my shoulders. I didn't go back to the motel. I didn't go back to the past. I went forward. Found a little apartment on the edge of town. Got a job helping restore antique furniture. Met people who didn't ask what went wrong, just who I was becoming. I started writing again. I smiled without permission. I learned that peace is quiet, but it hums louder than betrayal ever could. And every now and then, when the nights feel long, I whisper to myself, don't turn around. Not because it hurts anymore, but because there's nothing worth looking back at.